Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have the opportunity to work on a Penn 10, which is a mag-tuned reel. It's kind of the Penn 109 on steroids. This one has a broken level wind guide, and we're going to show you how to tune this reel up, how to get it serviced and back fishing again, and how to go service the line guide mechanism, and what caused me to diagnose it that way. So before we get started, I want to thank our first responders and essential personnel and everybody involved in keeping us safe during the pandemic. Your efforts truly are appreciated, and I thank each and every one of our local hometown heroes, regardless of the branch that you're in that's serving, or the role and capacity that you have, whether you're medical workers or in a hospital or long-term geriatric care and acute care, in the uniformed services, as well as our essential delivery personnel, making sure that our supply chains are continued to be stocked and ready for us. So these are some parts that were taken off. I had to do a diagnosis on this before I got started, and the first thing that I do when I diagnose a reel is look at the line guide mechanism, and there's 3 or 4 components behind that. The first of those components is the drive that comes off of the spool. So when your line guide is not moving, there's you have to check the whole train. So this is the first one. You check and make sure all the teeth are good. This one rarely breaks on these reels because that's a metal one. The second thing you check is the idler gear. That transfers, that sits here. That transfers the power from the spool to the worm gear, which is underneath here. And that's actually where the problem was with this one. You can see on very close inspection that we're missing 2 teeth right here. And so what happens is those 2 teeth line up with your spool gear that's driving this, and when you're in that hollow, that spool gear will turn all day, but it won't move the idler gear because it's trapped right there. So that's the cause of this issue. We had to go out and order a new one, which I did. A lot of folks ask me where I order my replacements from. I order them from mysticparts.com. You can also get those right online from Penn Parts, and you can get those pieces in other providers as well. So in order to remove that idler gear, I had to remove the click ratchet, which belongs here, and we can reassemble this, and then we can get going on tuning this reel up. So the first piece we're going to do is we're going to oil that bearing in the back. I've checked these as before I got started. And that's one of the differences between that Penn 109 and the Penn 10. It's kind of interesting because you would think the Penn 10 is related to the Penn 9, much less so. Well, actually, 3, 2, 1. It's kind of interesting. You think that the Penn 109 would be the one, right? It goes 109, 209, 309 would be the ones in that order, but it's actually the Penn 9 that replicates the Penn 209 and 309, and this is a juiced up version. It has the ball bearings in the back, and everybody wonders where that mag feature is and is it adjustable. Well, the magnet is on the bridge of this reel, and it's not adjustable. So when that spool comes into contact, this metal spool comes into contact with that bearing, you'll feel the force on that, and that's to stop and prevent the backlash. All right, let's go put that back in then. This is a plastic or a polyethylene type of a gear. You do not need lubrication on that. So we're just going to put that in. You can see how it meshes with the worm gear here. And then I have that screw that goes in there. And that's simply a bolt down. So if you were taking your reel apart and you noticed the missing teeth there, we'll go ahead and take that out in the reverse order that I've just done it. Once you put that in, just spin it. Make sure you've got a spinning worm gear, that there are no teeth damaged there. Now, previously I had taken the side plate off and looked just to check, because when you're going to order parts, it doesn't make a lot of sense to go order one piece and then have to turn around and order another. All right, this is your click ring. This is a plastic clip ring. what you want to do is you want to spread it over your click tongue, then come on and work it into the two spots where it holds, and then grab that screw that holds these together. And again, I've taken these off previously, but this is how this goes in. Tighten that down, and then I like to pull that click tongue back so that it is out of the way. All right, we're going to transfer the posts now so we can go over and rebuild this. So in the process, we're going to take off the handle. Oh, we already seem to be missing a handle screw retaining. That's all right, we'll find one around here somewhere to restore that. And if I'm not mistaken, this handle's been upgraded. I believe this handle is for the larger Penn Long Beach reel, and it seems also to be elongated. We're going to have to check that out. I'm not sure if we have a bad post here or if we have an issue with this. Huh? Yeah, so we have an elongated post here, so we're going to have to replace that post. This post should have two flat sides on it, and what you're seeing is it's all in a circle now. So what happened is this got loose, it wasn't tied down properly, and it started scooting around. You can also see that whoever worked on this reel the last time didn't pay much attention to details because they have the part number here, the 1060. Well, that part number belongs underneath. There's a shinier side to this, and it should be installed in reverse order. And also I'm noticing we don't have an anti-reverse on this reel. So we've got a lot of things going on here, so stay tuned. You're going to see a lot of different things done that may not normally be done here. Well, we also have that back ride. Let's see if... okay, we do. All right, we're good. We do have that anti-reverse. The Penn 10 has a feature similar to the 140 Penn Squidders. You can flip this switch that will override the reverse, the anti-reverse. So that's always good to know, and it's working the way it should, so I'm going to leave that in the override mode. All right, I'm doing two things now. I'm transferring the case to the other bridge. We just have a whole bundle of good things going on here. We're going to transfer that over to this side, and we're going to get to that bridge so that we can do that piece. So these use the screws for the Penn 9, which is a thinner diameter screw. So if you've got a missing screw and you're trying to put a different Penn screw in there, you're going to find trouble. So here's what we were talking about before. I have a long screw there, but I have a short screw here. That short screw belongs on the other side plate because this side plate is thinner than this one. So you can see how much more it sticks out of this one. So whoever assembled this reel early on or the last time probably had them all in a parts tray like I use and wasn't paying much attention when they went to put the screws in the right way. All right, we're going to just take this one out. This reel is a beautiful casting reel. You can imagine with two ball bearings, this reel can do quite a bit in terms of the coverage. And as I'm saying, somebody wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention because I used a longer screw up here. Not a problem. Just I don't know why it just caught my attention, but it did. So I'm going to take that out. That belongs on the other side. So it's a simple enough mistake to make. Put the right one in now. And you have to remember where you are. This has got the groove in it for the line guide. So this is the one that belongs up top. And we can use a little bit of help here in terms of cleaning that post off. There's no sense doing the work, not doing the cleaning that's associated with it when you do an annual maintenance. So if you'd like to learn about reel repair, how reels are made, some of the problems that you have with the fishing reels, and how to keep them fishing, well, then I would ask you to subscribe to my channel. If you do subscribe to my channel, please hit the notification button that'll show you the ones that I post, and I do post frequently. I started this about 1.5 years ago, trying to post on a daily basis, essentially as a way to kind of show my support for the essential workers which are out there on a day-to-day basis. Rain, shine, and all the issues that have gone on with these pandemics. And I'll tell you what, it's not easy to do this, so I know it's not easy to do all of the work associated with keeping us safe. But at any rate, if you do hit those notifications, you will see what I'm posting. And I post all kinds of these reel repair videos. Today we're working on a nice saltwater conventional reel with a level line setup. Tomorrow it may be a spinning reel. The next day it might be a heavy trolling reel or a low profile bassing reel. It's whatever comes into my shop. You're essentially looking over my shoulder at the repairs, and I would encourage you to do that. Okay, again, you got a plastic gear, so you don't need to lube that. You could put a little bit of grease onto this one. If you do put grease on, please use fishing reel grease. In this case, I use Penn Precision reel grease. But use the fishing reel greases. Don't go ahead and use the general household greases or automotive stuff. It's not the right thing. And fishing reel greases are not expensive, so go ahead and go online or go down to your favorite bait and tackle shop and just buy the small container of the grease, and go ahead and do the greases and the oils that are meant for fishing reels. I think you'll be more happy than finding that you put something in a reel that is either detrimental to the reel or just doesn't last as long. Maybe it evaporates or something else, and that just doesn't make any sense for the time that you're putting into keeping the reel right. I'm using a 4-0 steel wool here just to wipe off the surplus grease. There's old greases that have leaked out of the reel over time. You can see that magnet just grabs right away. And now I'm just going to remove that side plate so that we can get to that bridge. And I'm going to put my screws where you saw me put them in before. They go into a parts tray. That parts tray helps keep me make sense out of these. All right, this has got the big gear in it, much more so than the Penn 9. And these are powerful reels. You got the ball bearings, you got the high-speed gearing, you got the mag that's working on getting the spool under control from a backlash standpoint, and you've got the anti-reverse override that if you really hook a big fish, well, you can just trying to get that out of the way. You can see the difference it will make by fighting it manually and kind of saving your drag washers. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Take the bridge. Take the 2 screws out of the bridge. Drop those screws out for the bridge. One more there. And we're just going to do a light cleanup. There's not much going on in here, so I think I can generally wipe that out with a paper towel. I like to use the least abrasive of the cleaners when I'm working on these reels. I don't want to go any more abrasive than I need to. And most of the time a paper towel will do it. Sometimes I'll use something like this, a cotton swab, and those will all help you in the end. All right, we said we have a rounded collar here, so we're going to have to replace that bridge shaft. I'm going to take the whole piece off, and then we're going to pause and we'll come back with the replacement shaft. Okay, so I got the replacement shaft, and not to swap them out, I want to clear it off. These shafts are held in by a pin, and most of the time you can just use a pick like this. This is just a dollar store series of picks, and you can usually push them through, and you'll see that as I did that, it pushed through on the other side, and you want to remove that. Notice how your dog setup is, because the dog probably will get loose as we do this and do a cleaning. And this is very much like the Penn Jigmaster in that it has a spring that's attached to the bridge so that you don't rustle it too much when you go to remove them or service the reel and the like. All right, I'm Just going to pull that pin out. This is trash. We're going to clean up our bridge shaft. I'm going to remove the dog. There's no sense. I want to remove the dog because it's a little pasty under here, so we're going to use a penetrating oil to loosen that up. We'll go back to our cotton swabs, clean all of that gunk off. And again, if you need something more abrasive, if you need an assist from the steel wool or the paper towel or whatever, go ahead and do that. All right, we can replace the shaft now. Put a little bit of grease over the side. Just looking for my grease brush. We will find it. Just a light coat. Don't clog it up, but it needs a little bit. New shaft or gear sleeve that goes on the shaft. And that one you can see has the squared shoulders, which is going to hold the handle. We just need to work that pin in. Sometimes you can push it in just with finger pressure. Sometimes you need a little assist. And we're going to work our dog back again. Slide it over the pin. Make sure that it traps there. You've got plenty of oil on here, and you can see that it's stopping. And this is your pin now for that magnet. All right, these use the Penn HT100 washers. We have them in there, so they don't need to be replaced. We're simply going to mop up the old grease. And this is an optional one on the grease. You don't need to wash to grease those because they are a carbon tex type of a washer, but it doesn't hurt. While you do that, clean up the main gear since we have it out. I like to use a hard brush to just clear the channels. When I do that, I pull it into the paper towel so that the paper towel traps any grease or dirt or debris, so that I just don't go put it right back onto it when I go for the next series of channels. Inspect them to make sure that they're all uniform, that they're not chipped or cracked or bent. I just had a Penn reel, spinning wheel come in where the gears teeth were bent. Turns out that there was something got trapped in there, and those reels are notorious. This was a slammer. The reels are notorious because they don't have an anti-reverse override, and when something gets trapped, turning the rotor oftentimes will damage the gears, and then that's what happened here. All right, I've greased that up. We're going to go ahead and put that back on. Oops, that was an oops. I missed a piece. That reminds me to tell you to take pictures along the way. When you get to critical junctures, if you don't know what you're doing on the reel, pictures will help to establish a reference point so that you can go back in and look at those pictures if you get stuck. Now these were greased previously. There's some grease on them, so I'm not going to overload. What happens if you overload is exactly what you see here. It just presses it out. It doesn't do any good to the drag, pressure, tension, washer effect, if you will. We have two round washers and we have one eared washer. This is the eared washer. It has 2 points on it and it has a round circle inside. That's the one that's going to hold the main gear during the compression. There's our third washer here. I'm going to go up with the last one now. And this one's got the squared shoulders and no points. So top and bottom get the round or keyed washer. The middle washer gets the eared washer, and that's how you set your drag stack up. We're just going to clean the interior of this. So if you have questions on this reel or any reel, leave them in the comments section. I'll be happy to try and respond to you with the answer if I know it. If I don't know the answer, I'll try and point you to somebody who will know the answer. And I'll try to help you out as you go about servicing your reel or considering buying a reel, or maybe you've got a reel in the closet that hasn't been worked on and you're kind of thinking about maybe going back and trying to determine what the issues are. Well, if you have that question, if you leave it in the comments section, I will try and respond to you. This channel was established to help folks do it themselves, and one of the ways I can do that is by answering your questions. Also, if you kind of enjoy this thing but you don't want to do it yourself, I do wheel repair. I do it by mail, and if you send me a note, I would be happy to provide you with repair information. Use my email for that, and that's the best way to get a response. All right, so let's just look here. We've cleaned this. I'm going to lube that bearing. Again, I've kind of inspected this reel a little bit before we got started because I knew that I was going to be ordering pieces and parts that were broken. I probably should have inspected it a little bit better, but I was fortunate that I did have that replacement gear sleeve, and everything else checked out, so we're good there. I'm going to put the yoke springs in, put the gear into the shoulders of the yoke, press down on it, and bring the jack over, wide side first, and then push it in. Then you can release the tension on that, and that's how your yoke and jack assembly gets installed. We've already done this. This is real easy. Most of the time you have to rotate a bridge because you're setting the dog spring. In this case, that's all set before. So this just goes straight in. So we've lubed the pinion gear, we've lubed the main gear, we've cleaned it all up. It's time to just set it all in now. That's all it takes to load this one in. So that's a pretty easy thing to do. You're going to notice that there's two screws in this. There's one that has a full thread for a bridge screw, and there's ones that have a partial thread. Partial threads go through the springs, so they belong in the top positions of this reel. When I tighten these down, I like to tighten them down in an X pattern or a north, south, east, west kind of an approach. I do that to maintain equal tension on this. And these are usually a little bit tricky in that the tolerances on those bridge slots are tight. So if you find that you're having a little bit of trouble positioning one of the screws, like I was with that one, back the other one off until you have all of them set, and come on back in and tighten them all down. While I'm over here with this, I'm going to get a bigger screwdriver. This is the side adjuster for the line guide, and I'm going to take that out in order to put the rest of this reel together. Okay, now we can go ahead and put the trim ring back on. And make sure all of the holes get lined up. And this is where you can use that pin again. If you're having trouble lining a hole up, just use that pin. Very versatile tool. I'm going to put a little bit of grease onto the shaft that's going to go through that pinion gear. Then we're going to load the side plate. Notice I have not put the line guide assembly on. I'm going to put the side plate on. I'm going to grab two of those side plate screws, and I'm just going to get them started. And the reason why I do that is it becomes a wrestling match if you try to do all of this without the benefit of anchoring this. When you go to put that gear sleeve on, it just it's harder to do. So this is just lessons learned. Here's my gear sleeve. I want to clean that up. Just a little bit of tension on that. And those of you that are paying attention, yes, the spacer for the gear sleeve came out. That's not a problem. We can do that in a little bit. Two sides to this. There's a long side and a short side. You'll notice the short side goes to the front, and there's two holes in each side plate that you want to anchor those to. Get it on the one side, lock it in on the other side, Once you have it locked in, come back to those 2 screws that you started and tie this down. Now, of course, we still haven't done that line guide, have we? So this is my way of doing it. Other people like to do balancing acts, but to me, this is just the easiest way to do it without needing a lot of dexterity and craziness to hold it all together. I'm going to just put the rest of these in while I've got these sitting here. The one up top, I'm going to leave this one. I'm going to tighten it, but I'm not going to over tighten it because that's got the slot in it. And I want to make sure that the slot is properly aligned with the line guide. Then these real 2 long screws, well, they belong on the bottom. And this is where the pictures help, because if you weren't paying attention, you might have put those into another piece, and then you wouldn't get it to anchor into the real seat. There we go, that's the one. This is the other. All right, we're coming down to the moment of test here to make sure that we've got everything proper. Looks like they're just a little bit off here. Let's see if pulling it up just a little bit was able to set that into the hole. As I mentioned, it's got tight tolerances on it. All right, I'm going to put the sleeve back on. We're going to put the star adjuster on. We're going to put it on the proper way. This is the number, so that goes on the bottom. Just a little bit of a quick brush up there. Okay, give it a turn to make sure it's all turning ahead of time. Now we're going to grab that line guide assembly. We're going to take the pawl. Looks like this one's been in and out a couple of times. There's a pretty worn groove there. This is why I say you need a screwdriver that matches the slot of the screw. You can see here that this is butterflying, that the sides are wider than the center. That's because somebody's used a smaller screw there, a small screwdriver, and has caused it to overlap. I'm just going to clean up the shoulders on this. This is the pole. I'm going to add a little oil to it. And I'm going to reinstall before I reset the assembly. Now this one you want to play with. You have to get the points into the tracks of that worm. And when you take it out, it doesn't necessarily seat properly the first time. So you'll see that as I turn that screw, I do about a quarter of a turn, and then I kind of turn the worm gear. And that way, if I'm in the track, I can complete the exercise. If I'm not in the track, it's going to help to align it. But if you over tighten to start with, you're going to have trouble because you're going to bend the tips of that pawl and then it won't function at all. So I didn't take the line guide off completely. If you took it off completely, make sure that the one that has the squared shoulders, because it's real easy to flip this around, make sure that the side that has the square shoulders is facing the right side of this as you're facing the reel. This just takes a, I think we finally have it there. Yep, finally have it. Okay. And then I oil this. I don't grease the worm gear, and I don't do that specifically because that can trap dirt and grease and sand and what. You'll notice what I just did there. I took the worm drive now and I put it through the hole. I'm going to back into it and make sure that the top of the line guide is in that groove, and then I'm going to try and seat that into the right. Well, how do you seat that? You have two squared shoulders trying to get into the gear. Hold this and turn your I gotta grab my piece here, that little cap. And I'm gonna start with that. Sometimes you can just seat it right away. Sometimes you have to put the pressure on with this. So let's go put the pressure on. This is going to come back in here, just like that. And you need to get the point of the worm gear seated properly. I heard it click. So what's happened now is that I finally got that into the square side, into the square shouldered side of the gear. Now we can tighten this all the way down. Now we can spin it. Larry, you have a functional reel completely redone, ready to go fishing. Except that we got to put that handle back on, don't we? So we had that handle, and this is very rounded out here. So I think what you need is a replacement handle, so I'll go find one for you because it's rounded out here. That's how the other part got damaged, and that's why it's not working properly. So got a little bit of shoulder left here, but the other side is all rounded. This one needs to be replaced. All right, we're going to stop it here. That's how you rebuild the Penn 10. That's how you service it. We talked a little bit about the line guides. We showed you what happens on a defective idler gear where teeth will break. You see the teeth right there that are broken off. That's why it wouldn't drive the line guide mechanism. We showed you how to take the gear sleeve off to replace that when it rounds out on you and your handle doesn't hold. We showed you how to replace the drag washers by removing the whole main gear assembly. And we showed you, more importantly, how to give this reel a second chance. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, please like it. If you want to see more, please subscribe. Again, if you're a first responder, essential personnel, thank you for everything it is that you're doing. I really do appreciate it. You truly are our hometown heroes. So with that, I'm going to wish you the best. Please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.